Repeat. I'm honored and delighted to be part of this event. So I would like to thank ANTA, all the executive member of ANTA, our own president, Mrs. Aprajita Jha ma'am, for actually she was there every time I texted her how we are doing this, what needs to go first, how we gonna do this. So I don't know how you do it, but power to you. Then our General Secretary, Dheeraj Chaudhary Da, for helping us with all these technical issues because I cannot do it. So I owe you for this one. So for today's topic, we have women in leadership, opportunities and challenges. We have some powerful and exemplary voices, some of the pioneer in their field. So I would love to have their views on the opportunities they got, challenges they faced, and how they are doing now, and what is next in their vision. What I have on the agendas for today is I will introduce our panelists, then I will let you talk about yourself for in few sentences, in a little detail, then your name and designation that I will say. Then I have series of questions that I will direct you towards you, but it is not like if I ask Prabha ma'am, then she only gonna talk. You can put in your thoughts once she is done. So it is just like I have formulated those questions based on your expertise as per my knowledge. And then at the end, we have 15 minutes for open question. You can ask any question, any thought process, anything. And then I have a closing remark. So that is the agenda for today's. First, I would like to introduce our panelists. The very first one on the list is Mrs. Annapurna Deo. She's the chair of ANTA's advisory board and a founding member of ANTA. Second one on the list, we have Mrs. Prabha B, Deuja, president of American Nepalese Society, vice president for Home Honors Association, and founder of Tender Heart Foundation. I will let you speak on those organizations. Third one on the list, we have Avima Uprety. She's a practicing attorney and a president of Nepal Women's Global Network. Fourth one, we have our very own Sunaina Chaudhary, member of Central Executive Committee in ANTA and co-coordinator of Women's Committee and a banker. Sneha Mahato, she is quality assurance analyst, IT expert. Then last but not the least, Aastha Singh. She's an undergrad at Syracuse University and a founder and president of Step Ahead Tech. And again, I will let you speak about that organization on your own. So now I would like our panelists to talk, say a few lines about yourself. And then again, I'll follow the panelists. First one, Annapurna ma'am. Could you please go ahead and say a little about yourself? You're mute. You're mute.
Yes. Okay. I live in the North Carolina. My name is Carrie since 1981. I'm currently retired from the Duke University. I worked there many years. I am presently a certified mediator from higher superior court in North Carolina. And also I'm a public policy consultant. As an organizational work for nonprofit, I have worked in several organizations. The local, like in North Carolina, there's a Nepal Center of North Carolina. I'm founder and I was a president. Nepali Women's Global Network, I'm founder and I'm founding president. 3 people together we have founded. So I'm founding president from 2002 till 6. Here in ANTA, like you already mentioned, I'm founder and the chairperson. I was a spokesperson in the past. I was a vice president for American Society for Public Administration and also area director for Toastmaster International. Those are all volunteer works. And there are many things, but I'm not going to say everything right now. But heavily, I've been working in the volunteers and I have my own consulting. Thank you.
Prabha ma'am. You are mute.
My apology. I'm supposed to be prepped before I can come out online. I know. I'm sorry.
Hi.
Namaste and good evening to everyone. First and foremost, thank you, ANTA president and the entire team for putting this wonderful event, Empowering Women. And thank you for the opportunity to present American Nepal Society of the United States, of course, popularly known as ANS. ANS is the first in 54 years old organizations in USA, and we all appreciate all the volunteers. Beside that, I'm also a founder of Tender Heart Foundation, also Nepali Parsala, and currently I'm also part of a lot of organizations and also actively involved within Fairfax County. I'm also a multicultural advisory council committee for the Fairfax community, representing Nepalese and speaking, and overall, I am presenting Nepalese community for them, for us. Being said, I am currently president of American Nepal Society, and also our goal within the American Nepal Society was several goals, and we completed a lot of them. First goal was we were committed to provide resources to the community, work with the local entities and government. We were empowering women and especially youth leadership. So we are continuing doing this work within our community. I work very closely to all the Nepalese people. Also, I am also part of all the multicultural, so I am part of different division within the county. But I represent Nepal, and I'm proud to represent Nepali. Thank you.
Hi everyone, namaste and good evening. I'm Avima Uprety. By profession, I'm an attorney. I practice immigration and family law. By passion, I'm a public speaker, and I love to speak a lot about women, and I love to present myself as a feminist too. It's such a pleasure to be here with the founder of Nepali Women's Global Network, Ms. Annapurna Deo here. I did not get an opportunity to meet her in the past. So thank you for founding this organization, Nepali Women's Global Network. And since 2002, I believe we have been continually working with same mission, with same determination and dedication. When you founded that organization, I believe we're carrying your legacy and then continuing to work to meet our goals and mission. Basically, Nepali Women's Global Network promotes networking, support, and self-reliance among Nepali women through education, advocacy, service, and collaboration with other community organizations. So we basically do a lot of advocacy events. We also try to connect the victim or survivors of domestic violence to the resources. And we have a couple of chapters already established in Nepal, in California, and New England. It's a small organization, but with a huge mission. And the goal and mission we have are viable, and we work in collaboration with other organizations, community organizations too. Thank you, ANTA, for organizing this event and connecting with these wonderful, empowering women, celebrating International Women's Day. Thank you for having me in this event.
Okay, I think it's my turn now. So, namaste sabaijanalai and good evening to everyone. My name is Sunaina Chaudhary. I'm a banker by profession, and I'm in ANTA. ANTA I'm a Central Executive Committee member, and also I'm a coordinator of Women's Committee. It's been a year I've been actively working in ANTA under Mrs. Aprajita Jha's presidency, and it's been a wonderful learning opportunity for me, because if it wasn't for ANTA, I wouldn't have been able to explore the different current situations, avenues, and dimensions of women in Nepal and the women in US. And last year, besides it, there was pandemic going on. We were able to organize events which was solely only for the women of Nepal, women of US. We spoke with the nurses who were working in frontline, and they shared their experiences on like how they are dealing with their everyday day-to-day life and tackling with COVID patients, and how it is like draining their, you know, like their personal life, their professional lives and everything. And the other event that we did was related to ebbs and flow of working women. Like as a working woman, there are certainly different opportunities, there are certainly different challenges that you have to face on everyday basis, and we don't really talk about it to everybody. So that event really also helped us like get to know about each other and what are the ebbs and flows of working women in the US and in the Nepal. And so this is March, and this is Women's History Month. So from today's event, we have officially kicked off the first event, which is concentrated on women's topic. And I'm really proud to be part of it. And I'm glad, I'm thankful and grateful to our ANTA's committee, executive committee, for organizing this event so that we get to know each other as well, which wouldn't have been possible otherwise. And as a coordinator of Women's Committee, we have planned different events which is lined up for the month of April for sure. And those will be also focused on something that we can do financially for the women in Nepal who is underprivileged or doesn't have much of opportunity when it comes to financial, maintaining their financial situation of their life, either by helping them with their job aid or any skills that we can teach. That is still in the line. But I would like to conclude by saying thank you for organizing this event, Namrata ji.
Sneha?
Hello, can you hear me, guys? Okay. So first of all, I would like to thank you, Aprajita ma'am and Namrata, Raut, for inviting me to such beautiful event today to share my experience and challenges that I had gone through. And so first of all, I mean, I'm from Janakpur, Nepal, and I came here in USA in 2009. And I completed my master in 2011 and after that I I went to IT industry and worked as a software testing for more than 7 years. And currently my contract ended with GDIT last month. So this month I'm taking a little bit of break, and then I'll be looking for another job from next month. And besides this job and my housework, my hobby I prefer like if I have free time apart from this job and house chores and all, then I like to work out and enhance my skill set. That's all. I just stick to myself. That's it. This is first time I'm ever speaking on the public platform live. So if I say anything wrong, please forgive me. So that's all I have. Nothing much like other panelists had. I don't have much.
Aastha.
Hi, my name is Aastha. I am a student at Syracuse University. I'm currently studying international relations with a focus in intelligence and cybersecurity, as well as citizenship and civic engagement, which is focused on nonprofit work and community engagement. I'm also doing a minor in information management and technology. Aside from my work as a student, I am also the founder and current president of Step Ahead Tech, which is a nonprofit that I founded in order to provide resources to receive STEM and IT education to underserved communities throughout the Ohio area. I've worked primarily through the nonprofit with refugee communities, specifically with the Bhutanese Nepali refugee community that exists in Columbus, as well as the Ethiopian refugee community. A lot of what I've done is organize seminars, summer programs, and different various enrichment programs in order to both encourage the pursuance of a high school degree and a higher level education through college, and specifically through the lens of STEM and IT, so that young women particularly young women of color, can put themselves in fields that are genuinely generally lacking in diversity. Also through this work, what I've been able to do is kind of write a presentation through the lens of what I did and present that paper around the United States, kind of speaking on the idea of community service and how different people in the STEM and IT community can use the very unique resources and skill set that they have to mobilize their own companies to work within their communities and create the same change for the underserved people that they have around them.
Thank you all. Oh my God, what all you have achieved is awesome. All I can say for now. So for language, Maithili will be awesome, but I know all of you cannot speak Maithili, so you can speak in Nepali. And then we have some panelists that like it's struggle either Nepali or Maithili, so you can speak in English. So you're welcome in any language to express your feelings and views. Okay, so Aprajita ma'am, do you have something to add on?
No, I'm really, for the first time, I'm hearing in-depth information about our panelists. It's amazing. I'm glad, Namrata. And about Namrata, because she hadn't introduced herself properly, she is currently in Children's Hospital of Cincinnati as a postdoctoral fellow. And she in herself is, a testament to strength, how we should empower in our daughters. They are three sisters, and she is, she has broken all glass ceilings, and what she is today is exemplary. So, Namrata, thank you so much. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. So now I will start with the questions. As I told you, I will direct those questions to some of our panelists, but if you want to add something to those questions, you can hop in at any time once the panelist is done. So my first two questions, that is for Annapurna ma'am and Prabha ma'am. As you already have established so many organizations, you have been on founding members committee, and like, as I told you that we have pioneer in the panelists, I would second that and I will stick to those words. You ladies are the pioneer in so many fields. So my question for you two is, what have you done in your workplace or in your organization for the upliftment of women? Any one of you can say first and then you can go second, whoever want to go.
Okay, I'll go first then.
Okay.
What I have done for the upliftment of the woman. I came here in 81, so I was that time around 30 minus plus. In Nepal, I was teaching. First I taught in the St. Xavier School, and then I taught in St. Mary's School. Then I had to take leave and come here. So while I'm in St. Mary, of course, all the girls were there, all the women's teachers, very few staffs, supporting staff men. So I lived with all women. My study was in the co-education, so I never went to girls' school myself. There's boy and girls, of course, girls were less. So while I was there, anything I do or support or teach or uplift them, it was all ladies. But I learned from other teachers many things. But then I didn't stay too long afterwards. I came to US. So over here, I had a good experience where I was growing up. What I witnessed, that no girls can go to school. Actually, my village, only my family used to go, myself and my sister, my nieces, very few other went. So I didn't feel any discriminated in the school or my home, because the village was such a way, but the village was discriminating for the education. So I knew for the girls to obtain this education, it's like you have to cross the impossible. You have to make it possible to the impossible. So my family has to go through like that for me, for my sisters, for my niece. And of course, I'm the candidate, so I had to go through. So can you believe that Dave, GEO, Dave, are very few. Now there are many, but it's not big population on this title. And I'm the first high school graduated, which feels like same, But you can imagine what I had to go through. I had to climb the fence of my backyard. Sometimes whenever the guest comes or the villager comes to see if she's going to school, my father, my brothers, so I'm giving you a background because then you can understand what I'm trying to say. So they support them, but they cannot face villager all the time. So they wanted us to be brave enough to really do what you want to do. It helps them. So we knew that my parents had support. So we will climb to the fence, go to the school once a while, not all the time. So I know I have seen that. But when I came to Kathmandu, I didn't see that. Less, but it was great. Here, of course, a different world here. So anyway, so when we see the organization is forming, like we had NCNC, Nepal Center for North Carolina, or some other organization, there are few ladies or none in the board. And we witnessed that, because even though ladies on the board, they don't dare to speak. Either they feel I'm not welcome, or they don't feel, or somebody just dragged and brought in the board just to counting number, just ahead. I have women. But, so anyway, so we formed, I plus two ladies, one is from Canada, one is from South California, formed the Nepali Women's Global Network. Understanding in our community, in American communities, they're not 100% all advanced, but there's difference. In our community, like we try to manage everything. Ladies are everywhere, I believe, that I see. They are the one really doing everything. When you have convention, cultural program, or some meetings, they lead the whole thing. But when it comes to stage, they dance also, or they do the drama. But when it comes to speak, nobody's there. It's not that they don't want to, but there's no space for that. So I really realized, so I talked about it, some of the leaders, ladies, and we formed this Nepali Women's Global Network. And after that, everywhere there is conventions or some program, they will invite you, the president. They go to represent. I used to go for my own pocket, doesn't matter, because my vision wasn't that just to go to speech. My vision was to bring change. So we'll represent our organization like Nepali Women's Global Network, but I have to make sure always like advocate for the women's leadership. Of course, education, but these days everybody sends their kids to school, even then. So at least 1/3, half, 50% was hard to say that time. Even now, I think at least 3% women should be in any board, especially in the organizations like Nepali organization. It has a good progress. It was taken very well, but even I see even now once a while, there are not many women. Like the bylaw has at least 2% supposed to be, but there is only 1, or 3% hasn't gone. But NWGN has no problem having, first time we had position for 1 vice president by the bylaw, and there are 2 equally qualified both. So immediately we talk to the board, not election hasn't been done yet, but first time we had 2 vice president. That wasn't even the bylaw, but it was so interested, so board. But the second time to run for the president, it was very hard. Why? There are very qualified women, even now and then. But nobody has a gut to come to the president or to be in the leaders. Why? Because they have been somehow suppressed by people, especially gender equality still is not there, even that. So even the qualified, sometimes you feel like a little bit left out or not respected. But I have to convince, and my thing is that don't wait for somebody to respect you. At home, we are the leader. We take care of the family, children, we feed everything. We do lots of things. But when it comes to and at work, everybody has a good job or whatever job you're leading there. Why in our own community, we are shy about it? So what I'm saying is that sometimes somebody pushes you or do not respect it, do not worry about it. You respect yourself and you respect themselves. So which means you stand out for yourself and for the community that you can give. So therefore, what happened is we had a very good president, and for going still right now, I see Avima everywhere is very qualified, and NWG running very, very well, keeping their mission, and I'm very proud of it. But this is just one story I'm telling, but it has happened to the other things, places that I have seen, even for ANTA or NCNC or some American organization I have worked. If you wait somebody to give you thali, like a plate in thali, don't wait. We've been giving thali to everybody. Why can't we take ourselves? and wait for somebody with respect. If you have to go walk in the meeting and then there is chair, don't wait, somebody will tell you, please sit here, just go and sit. And that's how you teach your kids and your daughter. At home, teach your daughters the same thing. Of course, you teach your son to same thing too. So don't try to discriminate. So for that, I feel like it has really worked in my life, and for the society, what I have done, contribution for the women, how to stand out, and happiness belongs to us also. I'll go further later. Thank you.
Ma'am, would you mind adding some points, like
Absolutely.
from your organization?
Absolutely. From my stand, I have several, I always believe in one thing is equality starts from home. So that is my phase of everything what I do. So our metrics within ANS is very clear. We encourage women to be under leadership, number one. We empower women, go on to empower others. So if I can empower somebody, that train will go around to others. So we keep doing that for our young youth. That is number two for us. Number three is, I am so impressed, Aprajita, you talked about daughter, right? I have a daughter. Her self-expression from the young age is very important for me. I encourage her to be herself. She can wear what she wants to. She can do what she wants to. I am right behind her. And that is number three, because again, it all comes from home. So we need to educate our family, friends, keep repeating ourselves, please. If boy can't do it, girls can do it. So that is what we need to constantly, it should be our Bible, because our society really needs it. I go to many places, I see group of men versus women. So we need to work on that. And we all need to work together. Shut down negativity. Uplift women, because we see negative comment, we don't stand for them. We talk behind about them. Advocates, female colleague, when someone, if Avima is speaking on behalf of all of us, let's empower her, work together on a group. Lead by example. Give them a tool so they can work with all of us. If you keep it to yourself, no one will learn what to do and how to do it. So this is a great platform for all of you. And become a mentor. If you know something, teach them, because we are lacking on there. Because in our community, we are lacking. I deal on these day by day cases, and I see it, that we keep ourselves a lot of information to ourselves, but we don't educate. And sometimes when we educate, we also get slap on the face. But it is okay, because we are doing the right thing. We're standing for principle. So if we can't teach the right thing, if you already made the same mistake, why does other person has to make the same mistake? So please try to teach. It is okay to get slapped. I get slapped all the time. You are smart. That's what people will tell me. But you know what? It is okay, because I am doing my duty as a woman. What have you done? You question that. And that's all I got. So I can add.
I just would like to add a couple of points too. Again, Annapurna Deo ma'am bhanirahदाखेरि, I mean, why Nepali Women's Global Network was founded, because there are no many women in leadership position, or they're not given the position. I came to United States in 2013, and that's what I started feeling in community organization here in US too. Yahako yo community organization ma pani, there's no women in leadership. अहिले पनि हामी यहाँ आइसकेपछि पनि most of the community organizations, president, vice president, decision making, I was involved with Nepali Women's Global Network from 2014. So community events I started speaking like, no, this is not acceptable. You need to start having more women community organization. So with that concept, we organized first Women Entrepreneurship and Leadership Summit 2018 in Dallas, Texas. Prabha Didi was also part of the event there. So the idea of having that event is bringing out women America, North America, विभिन्न profession, विभिन्न sector, leadership position, बसिरहनु भएको womenहरुलाई चाहिँ एउटा platformमा लिएर आएर we're trying to show our community that see there's so many faces. They're professional women, they're women in leadership position in their profession or in their community. You all have to recognize them. So we organized that event, and it was a huge, grand success. I can say that proudly. Prabha Didi is right there, and it was amazing event with amazing and wonderful ladies all around North America. So Toyota event saying we did it to uplift our women in our community and let community organization know that you need to have these women in your community organization. Saying that, what happened now since this pandemic, our Zoom event, and what I saw last year is like so many Zoom events, so many webinars, conferences, talk shows, and all male faces. Where are our women? I mean, like, I was so frustrated. And then there was one NRN event, regional conference going on, and then I was forced to write in Facebook that this is not acceptable. So I learned about Manal movement, and then Nepalma पनि 2019 बाट चाहिँ Manal movement को लागि चाहिँ बोलिरहेको थियो. So I said I thought I should write it down. So I had a long post right before the event. I didn't realize that their event is tomorrow. I saw it and I wrote a post that this is not acceptable. Manal is not acceptable. You have to bring civil engineers. You have to bring women in IT. You have to bring women doctors or attorneys or whoever women are in different professions. Have at least 50-50 or try to have 2 panelists women. Try to bring out. So त्यसपछि हामीले चाहिँ एकदमै 5 दिनसम्म we were like, we keep on continuing writing in social media, and we got a lot of support. As Prabha Didi said, when somebody speaks, what we have to do is that we have to come as a community and start supporting that mission, because that I was not speaking for myself, I was speaking for my community. हामी भन्दैनौ अघि चाहिँ अन्नपूर्ण देव म्यामले भने जस्तो थाली चाहिँ आउँदैन भन्नुहुन्छ, तर हामी गएर चाहिँ मलाई बोलाइदेऊ भन्दैनौ अनि हाम्रो कम्युनिटीले हामीलाई बिर्सिन्छ. त्यही भएर चाहिँ हामीले एकदम एक्टिभली बोल्यो र कम्युनिटीबाट एकदमै सपोर्ट पनि मिल्यो. सबैजनाले सपोर्ट गर्नुभयो र सोशल मिडियामा हामी एकदमै पेलेर गयौँ र एउटा खालको रेकग्निसन मिल्यो जस्तो लाग्छ. After that event, when I see at least people are being a little bit of mindful, we ask panelists to be careful about it. We ask organizers to be careful about it. And then I think that's what I did as a community organization. NWGN le gareko euta achievement tyo pani ho. As when Annapurna Deo was sharing about how NWGN was founded. And I'm amazed and then surprised that even today, it's the same story. We still have to fight to get place. And we're not fighting just because we're saying we're women. No, we have capable women and you have to recognize them. That's all we want to say. And NWGN is continually advocating for that and continually working for our women to be recognized.
To add like 30 minutes I will take to add to the point that Avima said, very important. And I saw her message, and in 2014 in ANTA, even before like NASA, in ANMA, many conventions I have got, we always had a women's forum. But I used to not say women's forum, I used to make some kind of theme for the forum. Men are invited too, but it's just cultural. Everybody's the women forum, women issues. Stop worrying issue. It's not women issue, it's a men issue, it's our issue. So anyways, to break that chain, so that time 14, we had in a Texas organization. So I feel, you know, more we talk, nobody listens. We just have to act it. We have to do it. So there was a forum, of course, the women forum was there with some title of the forum. So I voluntarily, actually, I'm not going to be shy. So there was one forum fit for me that I can speak and like from my field. So I just voluntarily send them my name. I like to be one of the panelists. I feel like they will say, oh, she's a volunteer. I said, it doesn't matter. I have to work on it. So what I'm suggesting, all of us, we can, of course, do the advocacy, like you said, that's great. That's like breaking, like turning around, so that it opens their mind. But we have to also voluntarily step in. And that way what happened, it will be just kind of bundle in everything together, blends in. So they won't think it's woman issue. No, it's not my issue, it's daddy issue, mommy issue, so both like brother, sister. Anyway, that's all I have to add. Thank you.
I'm also going to add a quick thing, and then I'm going to give it to you, Namrata. Just since we talked about uplifting, I have a very critical point that I want to make sure that everyone knows. It is funny that I'm also honorary representative for tourism. So I represent in Fairfax County for Nepal tourism, right? So what I did was simple thing. I took the booth, I walked around to Fairfax County's event. Everybody noticed me, right? So today I became a part of multicultural consultant committee. So the platform comes when you commit, when you volunteer. So we also need to teach our community commitment and volunteers. So you don't need to stay in one place. We women intend to suppress. We don't come out, just like Avima said. We don't talk. When they come out, their truth comes out. So people need to realize these things. We are there, we are here. We don't come out often, but when we come out, every truth comes out from our mouth. So we need to make sure that we uplift those people to come out, commit, volunteer. And I'm so impressed with Sneha. You just stated that this is your first time. It is okay. We all started from somewhere. I was one day on your place where I did not know nothing. Today, I get to get involved with all of them. And now I get to have my own network of people who are willing to help me on every step. So welcome. Thank you, Namrata, for giving me 2 minutes.
So I will jump to Aastha. This is your question. You started your undergrad and you heard all these like powerful voices that what they have gone through, where they are now, and they are the pioneer and leaders in their fields, in their organization. You're yourself an undergrad student. You started one of the organization. Do you still feel like you don't see much of a leadership role where you go, or how do you see that in your school right now?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question. Something I can definitely speak to is I would say that I did things a little bit out of order. So when I was in high school, like I said, when I was 15 years old, I started Step Ahead Tech, which is the nonprofit that I'm still currently running. And I also spoke at a lot of professional development conferences about how to run a nonprofit as just an individual without a huge corporate backing. So as a result, I was in a lot of professional spaces as a young person and as a young woman. And now I'm just entering into like I'm a freshman, I'm an undergraduate right now. So I'm just entering into like that very first level of college, of education. So a lot of the people and places I was speaking to, I was the least, for lack of a better word, least accomplished. I had the shortest resume of anybody else in the room. And as I'm sure you know, the tech community is a predominantly male, predominantly white dominated industry. So as a woman in that field, working in that field, and not just a woman, but as like someone that was like, technically some of those conferences you're not even allowed to attend until you're 18 years old. And the only reason I was even allowed to enter the building was because I was speaking at the conference. So as a young woman, not only just being in those spaces, but getting to get up on a stage and kind of tell these people how to do their jobs, it was obviously a very kind of mixed, lukewarm reception sometimes, especially in different parts of the country. For example, in Florida, I got a very different reception than I did when I was in Michigan, especially because I was talking about something like promoting education among refugees and underserved communities. So something that I definitely noticed was even not necessarily external factors, but internal factors that I think women are kind of conditioned to experience, primarily like imposter syndrome, which is just the general idea that you should not be in the room that you're in because you are underqualified inherently. But also external factors. I think that there is a general kind of habit that happens when women enter a conversation to interrupt or not fully listen to what they're saying, solely for identity reasons. So that's definitely something I noticed when I was working in those fields. And that's also something I've noticed just being a student in a classroom. And it's very interesting to see how much a classroom dynamic shifts solely based on the gender or sex of the people in the room. For example, I'm taking a class that is a tech-based class. It's an intro to technology class, which is primarily men. And it's much harder to get a point across in that classroom versus I'm taking a writing class that just coincidentally happens to be all women. And the capability to foster communication within my writing class is a lot easier, which I think in higher education in the time that we're living, you would think that that wouldn't be so much of a problem, but it is still very much there. And I'm inclined to believe that the men in my technology class do not notice that discrepancy, but I'm 100% sure that all of the women in that class are very aware of that discrepancy. I think one of the big things that I've kind of taken to saying in all of these spaces, both when I'm working professionally and when I'm working in a classroom setting, is just making very clear that like I will not be talked over, like making room for myself. I think a big topic of conversation among people discussing these issues right now is about making space for women to be leaders, and I think that's really important, and that needs to happen, and everyone needs to play a part in that. But also, until that happens, that's a much longer term goal. It's important for women to be making space for themselves at the table. And I think one of the big ways to do that is to just refuse to let other people take your seat at the table. And I think that comes in very small ways. Simply just the way that women tend to speak or engage with others is oftentimes very apologetic, for lack of a better term. Like something I've noticed is that in a lot of my classes before a female student will ask a question, they'll be like, sorry, or I don't mean to interrupt. But male students never tend to express themselves that way because they feel that it's their right to be in that classroom as it is. And I think that women need to internalize that sort of mindset a lot more, so not to downplay their own role in educational environments as well as professional environments. And I think it's just such a conditioned behavior that it's a lot of unlearning that's required. And I think that's definitely something that I'm still doing and learning how to do. And I think that's a process that takes a long, long time because it's so deeply ingrained into the way, just something as simply as the way we communicate or express ourselves.
I want to add one point to your experience, Aastha. So when I did my undergrad, I was the only honest student, like women of color, and I can totally relate with what you go through in that male full class in that classroom. I was the only one, not only women of color, and least like we had 3 or 4 girls, but it was like intimidating. And I feel like I'm so opinionated. I do used to give my opinions, but it feels like I'm getting judged every minute I'm in that classroom.
Yeah, no, I could definitely understand that, especially as a student at Syracuse University, which is a very, very white university, a very white upper class university. So there's definitely like some level of judgment that exists there, and not just, unfortunately, not just among the students at the university, but there has been huge sweeping issues in reform with racism at the administrative level of the university. So, and it's definitely a certain level of self-awareness that you have to have, being the only person of color and women of color in a room. For example, like for me as a Nepali woman, something that I'm always very hyper aware of in environments like this is that there is a very good chance that I am the only Nepali woman or Nepali person that a person that I meet here might ever see. And so in doing that, you almost carry the burden of just being an ambassador for your race and gender all of the time. Because at the end of the day, if I raise my hand in class and say something stupid, they're not just going to think like, oh, that girl is stupid. They're going to think, oh, Nepali people are stupid, women are stupid. And that I think is a very big responsibility, especially because it's not ever a responsibility you sign up for or ask for in your life. It's something that you're born with and you have to carry for the rest of your life. So I think that is certainly something that I'm aware of. And I try to carry with as much pride and grace as I can. But I think it's also a constant learning and teaching opportunity for the people that I'm around as well. And I think I do my best to handle that in a diplomatic manner. But I've definitely become increasingly aware of it in the recent months since I have entered my undergraduate experience at Syracuse.
Thank you, Aastha. So my next question is for Sneha. As Aastha touched on IT, so you are an IT expert.
Not expert, I just work in IT, but not expert.
For me, your expertise in it is
Not
in
an
IT.
expert, not an expert.
So it is predominantly like male area, like they are dominated by male. Even in biology, even in my field, I think 9%, that's it. That's a women like threshold. So what was your experience working in the IT industry? Do you want to share that?
So yeah, I have an experience with my colleague, and he has like 20 years of experience in IT. And then what he always brags about it, and what he is kind of person who always wants to take in charge of things which you are not asked to. Even tries to be bossy, try to be in charge of assigning stuff. If you are assigned a project lead, then you have like right to assign stuff to the people. Or but although he was not asked, he was not a lead, but he just takes in charge by himself. So he had like issue with like arguments with everybody in the team, but like one and one. But my manager was like, I was like fortunate enough that he was very kind human being I have ever found, and very nice. So he was just letting it go. So similarly, I had like there is another guy who had an argument, like he was asking an update, like texting, like give me update and this and that, give me send me an email instead, but he was not asked to. So he had kind of all this going on, and same thing he did to me while we were working in the same project. So he was 2 times he was sending me emails, send me then update and all those. And then I told my manager, he's not a lead, project lead. He's not, he's not supposed to ask me. And plus there is a scrum meeting that we do every day. It's called a standing meeting. And we used to give our updates every day, what we have done yesterday, what we are going to do, anything impending or things like that. So which I'm giving. Why? But he just can't stop. So we had like conference with project manager, our manager. We were reporting to the same manager, me and him. So we had like big arguments, and he was doing some personal attacks. And obviously I would not like keep quiet. So then what happened from that point, our manager asked us to not to directly interact with each other, or not to like work in directly. Don't assign. He was not supposed to assign me any work, and no direct contact, just indirectly sending email, this and that. So he stopped that after like sometime like 1.5 months. I don't remember the exact date. Again, he started like, he is the kind of person, he cannot stop himself. He will not stop. Then he again assigned me, work, and which he was told not to assign me any work. Then I just kept quiet. I did my assignment. And then what happened in the one meeting, what happened when I started giving my update, he just talked over. I was like, I just started like giving 2 words, and then he talked over, and that and I was looking for a point. One day, if he does anything, he assigned me work, although he was not. I did it. I was just let it it has been cooled down. Things have been cooled down. I let it go. But again, then when he interrupted and interfered while I was going to speak and took over, that made me like, I could not control myself. Then when he finished, what happened? I told him, first of all, you are not supposed to, interrupt me while I was going to speak or while I was speaking. You interrupted me, and you should always let one speak first. Then if you have any question, comments, or your opinion, you can say that too. I said in front of like 20 people we have, I just said like, I was like kind of rude, but I was kind of mad because I was looking for a point. Because what happening? I mean, it's nobody. I mean, he had an argument with everybody, but I could not kept to myself. Then I bursted myself too, and then he again is I know like in front of 20 people he started doing personal attack, and then the drama happened. I mean, luckily my manager was not. Unfortunately, I would not say luckily, my manager was out of the office that day. Then the project manager, I mean, I did not report to that event, that incident to my manager, because I said it's happened, argument happens. But Scrum Master, project manager, they reported. So my manager sent me an email. What happened? What was I want to know your story from your side. And then I told him what happened, and even the other people told about him what he did in the meeting. So from that point, the issue escalated to the higher management, like my boss. And then from that point, he was asked not to attend the meetings anymore, or even if he attends, just keep quiet. And then from that point, he was asked to not to attend or keep quiet. Even if he needs to know something in the meeting, what's going on, he can just be silent, and he should not be contacting me at all. So basically my point is, when you have things, and basically it's not the man, if the man is trying to outsmart you, or so, even if it was woman in that place, I would do the same thing. It's not like I would be gender biased. If a man does that, I will only do, and if a woman does that, I would not know. If there was a woman, I would do the same things. I just believe in equality. So the conclusion is, just don't be quiet. If it's unfair, if it's unfair, things are not going right, you have to speak up. You just don't keep it inside you. So that is all. That's how I dealt with that situation.
My next question is for Sunaina. Okay, so we heard a lot and we are still learning a lot. We think that women empowerment or women like discrimination is only prevalent in Nepal. It is equally prevalent in USA too. So is there any particular thing that you see here that was not in back home Nepal, and that might has helped you, like that might have shaped you who you are right now? Anything that helped you to grow?
Yeah, that's a great question, Namrata. Thank you. So women discrimination it's a global issue, I would say, not in the US. It's not only prevalent in Nepal or India, not in the Asian, it's worldwide. And as a woman, you will face it one way or the other, wherever you go. Like if you go to the shopping center, if you go to wherever, you will face it, even from the women like nearby. So that's what it is. And in comparing with Nepal and comparing with the US, I would say here actually, like when a girl child is born, you do send them to school. You do not discriminate against your daughter or your son. Whereas in Nepal, especially in the villages, people have tendency to send their daughter to the private school and son to the public school, like you've mentioned before as well. So these are the extreme kind of discrimination that happens in US, in the Nepal, which is not in the US. And it's more of like, like girl child are like treated equal as well here. And when it comes to like having it everywhere and facing it everywhere, it's prevalent. And I would say the change comes from within, that Pravaji mentioned. And in any family, if you feel like, in any family, if you want to be respected, you have to actually like treat them first, and make sure that they are learning it first, and how to treat each other equally. And it's 2021, and women have achieved so much that men hasn't so far. Just for an example, if you give the example of the youngest prime minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, she has achieved so much in her age that her male counterparts wouldn't have achieved. And she tackled COVID-19 in a way that none of the leaders in the world could achieve. If you look at from Nepal only, like Shrinkhala Khatiwata, like previous Miss Nepal, she is now accepted in Harvard, and she's going to do masters in urban planning. And if you look at these examples as well, there is a change coming through, which is really good. People are now understanding that if women are given equal opportunity and if they are given the fair chance, they not only meets the expectation, they actually exceeds the expectation as well. And they can do anything. They can derive the better result as well from their male counterpart. So yeah, it's everywhere, and only way to tackle through it is just to raise the awareness. And those people who is not aware is probably in the Stone Age, I would say. They're probably not in social media. They do not know what's going on with the world. But then, yeah, as long as you're aware and you're trying to bring that change from yourself, from your family, then it will spread out to the society, to the country, and to the world. So yeah, that's prevalent, and the only way to tackle would be, I would say, awareness. And like Avina Didi said as well, that you have to speak up, and you have to, if there is anything, if you do not speak up, then nobody is going to speak on your behalf. So I would also say that if women are given opportunity of being in a leadership or talking to an event or going to an event or organizing an event or doing some things on their own, it will also help bring this discrimination down to zero, I would say. Thank you for the question, Namrata.
My next question is for Avima.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
No, my next question is for Avima ji. Thank you for your answer. Yeah, my question is, you have practiced law in Nepal and in USA. Do you see any differences for women issue, or they are pretty much similar?
Well, adding up with other panelists' question too, and also we'll answer your question. IT ko fieldma jasto, I think in every profession there is kind of discrimination. It exists everywhere. In my profession too, there is a sort of discrimination. Client, I think they believe or they trust male attorney more than female attorneys. Like for hard issues, soft cases, they think women attorney can do. But for like big criminal cases, tough corporate cases, some sort of understanding or belief is there that these are the issues that male attorneys would handle more. And working with colleagues too, I do have similar experience like other panelists do have. Being a woman in front of colleague, even I'm an attorney, and having a paralegal male colleagues, they dominated me or tried to outsmart me a couple of times, you know. And when you're a very fresh immigrant trying to adopt the culture and the working environment here in the United States, and your male colleague who are working here from a couple of years try to outsmart you, it's kind of difficult to deal with that situation. But I learned. And then even though I said I'm a public speaker since I was like a very small kid, and then but when I was in those situations, it's really difficult to, you know, just stop them and then just say, oh, you're doing wrong. So it kind of took a couple of years to have that courage to say that you are doing wrong. So that thing I learned that when there is something is wrong, then you have to speak up and then say that you were doing wrong. So a couple of times when my colleague tried to outsmart me or tried to interrupt me or harass me in front of other just to prove themselves they are good or superior, I kept quiet. But slowly I started asking them questions. Why do you believe that? Or have you ever seen me doing that? And that's why your opinion is this. So I started asking them questions in a very nice way. And then that's how I made them stop, not to harass me in front of others or outsmart me. So other thing is, in profession, I told it. I think I have a kind of experience that I would like to share. It's kind of different. So, harek profession, I think you have a very, being an attorney, you don't really have to go to the court to practice. You can be in-house attorney, or you can have 10 to 5 job and support a non-profit organization, or work reviewing the documents on all. So being a practicing attorney, you need to give a lot of time. It's not a 10 to 5 job. So as a fresh graduate in 2011, I was so confused. So I started asking with seniors who were senior in my field. So I used to work in a television. I used to do legal reporting and news readings. I used to get a chance to meet with a lot of guests and also attorneys. So whenever I asked them, like, graduate Unalatsu, what do you think? Should I prefer working as an in-house counsel or go to the government job or be a private practitioner as a practicing attorney? Your suggestion is, they didn't ask me what your interests are or what your goals are. They told me that, oh, you are a woman, being a practicing attorney, you need to give a lot of time. So ghar pani sambalnu paryo, bal bachcha pani paunu paryo. So it's better to have 10 to 5 job. I'm like, no. When me and my male friends were in the same class, being an attorney, we do have some sort of dream. So why, being a female, that I have to choose 10 to 5 jobs? So I didn't like that, but I couldn't just argue with them at that time. But it's so something to reflect on that, saying that's so wrong. We're teaching our girls to choose a career that suits for their household activities, or that suits them being a woman, not what they want to do. So I think this sort of discrimination and giving suggestions and guidance for their career exists to हाम्रो profession ma pani cha. And coming into the profession, client they trust गर्नलाई चाहिँ अलि बढी extra effort लाउनु पर्छ. But my experiences, I'll try to make it short. सुरुमा क्लाइन्टलाई ट्रस्ट गर्न गाह्रो हुन्छ सधैँ महिलाहरूलाई अथवा प्रोफेसनमा भएको वुमनलाई. But if they start trusting and if they hire you as an attorney, I will say 99% they're not going to leave you, because they know how you put your heart and mind and everything, you know, while you work there. So they'll be always with you. But तर सुरुमा trust लिनको लागि चाहिँ it's kind of difficult and tough in my profession too.
Issues with the women, is it same in Nepal and USA, or do you see any differences? I know in Nepal we have some raw issues, I know that part, but apart from that, on the general outline, do you think the issues are same
women
here as well as
women issues? It's the same as Prabha Didi said. I think other sort of mentality that we carry, and I think all of us, we still have that mentality. We still have this patriarchal thoughts. We still have this यो महिलाहरु चाहिँ अलिकति they can't do it. If you look into the similar issues that we have, I'll give you an example. Domestic violence do exist here. Number the way we have back home, either that be now Nepali community or other community, ali badi marginalized community ma high cha, but that still exists here. Second thing, now education ko kura gardakheri, there is a difference, you know. I mean, back home we used to see that छोरीहरु public school मा जान्छ, छोराहरुलाई private school मा पठायो. पहिला छोरीहरुलाई school पठाउँदैन थियो, पछि छोरीहरुलाई school पठाउन थाल्यो. छोरीहरुलाई public, छोराहरुलाई private. अमेरिकामा पनि मैले के देखाएको छु भने हाम्रो immigrant community मा we did this event in Connecticut, I think, and then we heard from this fresh graduate. Immigrant community को छोरीहरुलाई parents want them to be around same city. बाहिर नजाऊ, यतैको युनिभर्सिटीमा पढ, घरै बस, to protect them. छोराहरु, they want to send to the university wherever they prefer to go, because they try to protect their girls. That's wrong. Let them go. Let them follow their dreams. So I think that is also discrimination that still exists. अर्को, in name of practicing culture, हाम्रो communityमा अहिले पनि period हुँदाखेरि छोरीहरुले बार्नु पर्ने, period हुँदाखेरि छाउपडी city ko chhaupari still exists here. We America ma janmeko immigrant community ko bacha, they shared us the story, like they were kept inside the dark room for like 12 days, and they started feeling like mero sathiharu ta koi pani basdaina, ma kina basnu parne, and then father rescued there. So it's like we women love to continue the culture even they are discriminatory. So I mean, just here. So again, provide the so it's kind of mentality that we carry, and it's kind of it's within us that we don't want to accept the changes. So we carry same sort of practices, the discriminatory practices and everything year two, and it's continuing year two, you know. So these changes say they say that let's say we'll be able to remove this thing, but most of the discriminatory things that I see back home, I see same year. So its issues are pretty much same.
Namrata, okay.
So periods ko kati saman discrimination and cinema garma although I'm from like Janakpur, we never had any of those issues, like no touch. And maybe it is because my dad is from medical background, so we didn't have any issues. Like whenever I stayed in hostel, like he will take care of, like he's like, don't even bother. The first time I faced discrimination regarding my periods was here in Missouri when I came here as an undergrad. I was pulling the cart in Walmart, and one of my girlfriends told me, please do not pull the cart because we have some puja stuff in there and you are on your period. That was the first time I faced the discrimination regarding periods in USA.
Namrata,
and that is coming from the fellow women.
Namrata, I would like to add one more point, a kind of discrimination issue. What I have seen, and I think it still exists here, like when a girl is there, why she should be only, like she's born to cook, clean, and all those stuff. A boy should be doing all kind of stuff too, like cooking. Why he is like, if a girl is there, she should be cooking, she should be doing inside housework, not outside work. Like my father was a businessman, and I'm very lucky to have my parents, like they treated us, like my brother and sisters, all treated us equally. I mean, my father actually offered me, back when I graduated in 2000, he offered me to come back and run his business, although I was a girl. So why this discrimination is still, I think I have talked to my friends here, they still have mindset, this is kind of wrong mindset, that if a boy is there, he should not be cooking, he should not be cleaning. I mean, they are not taught to do that. A boy should be, I mean, so why this discrimination? The people should, like, I like urge parents or the people who have this kind of mindset, they should remove that kind of, like, oh, why it is housewife only, house husband can be there too, we are equally, right? So if this kind of situation is still exist, and people, like, I have like real example of my friend, I mean, they have kind of discussion, and her husband said, like serious talk, if you don't like this, we can separate apart, but I cannot do cooking and cleaning. If you want to live with me, live it. So this kind of still issue is still there, which, I mean, that should be, I mean, changed. And I think this is gradually changing, but not completely has removed, when yet they have mindset, oh, the girl is for housework, man is for, I mean, the boy is for outside work, and this and that. I think it's their responsibility to do, I mean, equally both, I mean, work. And I want support, like female too. As for example, if I'm a girl, I need to be, oh, I don't have to work, I just have to depend on my husband, I'm not born to work. I mean, you are responsible for your survival equally as the men do. It's not like men duty to just work for your living. It's women's duty as well. So I don't support in that way women too, that you should be depend on your husband. So that's my point. I mean, basically my point, they should be equally treated in each and everything. I know there are certain restrictions in capability, like physically we are not strong. That doesn't mean like, oh, God has discriminated from the beginning. That's not, it's the physical thing. A man can be physically incapable too, lifting stuff. So based on, I think the things should be done based on the capability, who can do that, not because of the gender inequality, gender discrimination. That's what my point is.
And also, can I add one little thing? Most importantly, we all have to teach each other to stop right there, right? So we don't stop. When we cook, if we see the dishes in the sink, we go and wash it. Whose problem is it? Our problem. We gotta let it go. Yeah, it's the dirt is right on the floor. What do? We pull the vacuum, we push. our problem. We gotta separate ourselves as well. So we talked about, Avima talked about, period. Avina talked about several other issues. How about buari? Somebody's daughter comes to other person's home, how she has been treated. Is it fair? Right? I was a buari. Most of you all are buari. So we swap the culture, right? We do things at our home, then all of a sudden we got to do somebody else's home. So is it fair? Why don't we have our own mind? Why can't we say we can't do this? Because we do it ourselves. So that's why we have to start from home. We got to teach our kids saying, it's okay, let's wait, or make a chore. In our household, we had categories. Monday, somebody's cooking, Tuesday, somebody's washing. So we have plans. Sometimes we got to utilize those type of model in order to incorporate ourselves, and we can teach better. So we can talk about it, but we don't use it. We don't apply it. So that is a problem. And I can tell you, I often sometimes do too, and I have to pause because I need a break too. So just to say that, thanks.
All of your points I want to add. The basic discrimination that starts from our house. हाम्रो सबैजनाको बिहे हुन्छ अनि त्यतिखेर के ट्यागलाइन लाग्छ प्रिफरेबली केटीहरुकोमा माइती र घर. There lies the difference. जहाँ जन्मिया छ, जहाँ हुर्किया छ, त्यो चाहिँ घर हैन, त्यो चाहिँ माइती हुन जान्छ. Unless you get the sense of belongingness, how can you be open? How can you be opinionated? Maithili culture ma naira sasra. Same thing. Maiti naira sasra means घर. Unless you stop saying those stuff, oh, घाम लागिसक्यो अर्काको घर जाने जात अहिलेसम्म सुतिरहेछ. You are okay to crack jokes on your wife, but you get so hyper when somebody is cracking jokes on your mom. This is in our DNA. And coming back to when you're like them like question हो जुन मैले day to day face गरिरहेछ. Still अहिले पनि. How do you react on gender-based jokes? Although it is not directed to you, but you are objectified, you are cracked jokes on the basis of like how you look, the women. How do you react to those? म यो answer चाहिँ सबैजनाबाट दिन्छु किनभने at times I feel like I do not want to respond to those, but if you have some input in that one, I will highly appreciate. How do you react to gender-based jokes?
I don't tolerate.
At workplace or even at your dinner table?
Aastha will go first.
Yeah, no, I think that this is a really common one. Again, especially as like a young person on a college campus, this becomes like incredibly relevant because you don't want to be the person in the room who like can't take a joke. And I think that a lot of times, I think especially in professional spaces, because I mean, I think it's incredibly unprofessional. First and foremost, forgetting about social situations. I think one of the most effective things I've found in handling like jokes like that is just asking someone to explain the joke. Like just genuinely just sitting there and being like, no, I don't understand. Like, what's the punchline? Can you explain it? I don't get it. And then just let them just be like, oh, it's because women are stupid. Because that's like, once you force someone to explain a joke like that, it kind of like falls. And I think that generally when it comes to humor, I've always been very much of the opinion that like everything is fair game or nothing is fair game. So like people can make whatever jokes they want to make as long as they can also take those jokes coming back to them. Like humor is humor. People joke about dark things. People make whatever jokes they want to make. But ultimately, if someone makes a joke at somebody else's expense, but they cannot be on the receiving end of that joke, that's when it becomes an issue, in my opinion. Again, and that's in far more social settings, as well as being able to know your audience and understand when it's okay to say certain things and when it's not okay to say certain things. I think there are genuinely people who do not understand why what they're saying is wrong because it's just so deeply ingrained in like our culture to make certain jokes, both Nepali and American culture. Especially at the expense of women, at the expense of people generally. I think that there is definitely a certain element of learning how to pick your battles. It's impossible to say something every single time just because it becomes so exhausting, and it just becomes frustrating. And so I think that sometimes you're just like maybe you're at dinner with like your 83-year-old great uncle, like you're not going to change his mind. And the only hope you can have by saying something is not necessarily to change their mind, but to say something in the hopes of teaching the other young women in the room that what is being said is not okay. And even though the joke might be made, it's not going to be made uncontested. And there's going to be someone who says something against that, and that there is a counterpoint to it. But in more social and professional settings, what I've always done is just kind of encouraged any person to explain the joke that they are making, and it kind of forces them to reevaluate what they're saying. I try to handle it in the most diplomatic way that I can do so. But like obviously sometimes that's not something that gets through to people, and it just becomes a matter of sitting down and explaining to someone why they're wrong to the best of your ability.
I'm going to copy that. I'm going to ask, explain the jokes. Some more inputs on that one, please.
Okay. So the joke, and this one is something I think it has become in culture since century and century. It's not decreasing, encouraging. And I feel so bad. And I think we as a woman, I can't say the very new generation, lots of new generation, they don't participate in certain things, but they do. But you know, when in Nepal, I didn't encounter so many because I was young, I wasn't so much involved, but here I'm pretty involved. I think lots of time we as a woman, we may not enjoy it, but we don't try to understand what is going to say, who is he or she talking about. We just blend in and laugh with everybody else. So they're making joke on you, and you're laughing, and you're trying to help them to promote their service, even including not service, but I'm saying whatever profession they have, because it just went very well. All the participants there, they're laughing, joking, so it's great, it's a success. But what they just did, we as a women don't try to see it. So more percentage of ladies, they understand what am I listening and how I'm reacting onto that. It was something you say, don't clap and everything. I see sometimes in Nepal, some government, some political, they just say rubbish thing and they're clapping and they're putting the mala, kilo mala. I mean, what are you doing? You're proving their job. So including it, I hate to hear that, but I hate so much when I see sadhu with a big beard, like really sadhu that they talk about. At least you believe they are sadhu, they are not, we don't know. While they are preaching religion or whatever the katha, try to entertain you. There are some bhajans. That's great. Bhajan is kind of also entertaining, relaxing, and then you get recharged and you stay the story. But they make a joke of women, like not a very dirty joke, but somehow. And women are the more sitting and listening and cooking and offering the prasadi, and at the end we do all the service, and they're approving it. And it just hurts me. Really feel like, what are we doing here? And then there you can't just say anything because that's our culture. You don't challenge the priest. You don't challenge sadhu, mahatma. And they are now, over there back in Nepal, what they do, they kind of have worship, lots of formality. Here, they do it, but they have to capture the attention. People who are busy, me, you, all are busy. We find time to go, sometimes to listen to them, and sometimes to support them, because if they came, you support them. I have done it, but when they do that, it just feels like so much hurt. So I don't like to listen them. I don't laugh them. I don't smile. In fact, if I'm the front sitting, I make my face purposely not happy. I want to see that person. I'm not happy with the joke, but I cannot say anything because that's about tradition. You don't challenge. And one time I was in a class 20 or 30 years before, it was Gita and Vedas class. And it was very knowledgeable priest, sadhu, he was teaching. And in the middle of the teaching, it was 10, 11 days, he made a joke on women. And they're all women. Most of the time, like 80% of students were women, some men. And everybody laughed. I just couldn't laugh, and I left. After that, I didn't join the class. So there's certain things you can't say, but you have to do something. You have to admit to yourself, I don't enjoy. And if that happens, someday you can walk out. I think slowly we have to stop it. I don't think anybody's going to. We as a woman have to admit that we don't like it. We don't like it. That's it.
Yeah, I would like to add some point on that as well, Namrata. So there are so many gender-based roles, like women can't do this, women can do this. They are born to cook, they are born to clean the house, and blah, blah, blah. So my way of taking that joke is to prove them wrong. So I can give an example of my undergrad days as well. That was back in 2010. There was a scrutiny or a joke, whatever you want to say. They were like, women cannot drive. They cannot drive. They cannot drive a car. And back like 10 years ago, there wasn't like a lot of female drivers, especially in my university. So I was probably one of the first few girls to actually drive a car and prove them wrong that no, women can drive. And it's not easy if you want to drive in Nepal, because the male drivers, especially those who drive the buses and the tempo, they will come at you. They will show you middle finger. They will do all the nonsense thing and the stupid thing to you when you're driving, you know. I seriously remember when I was just like, I was stuck in a jam and there was a guy who just came knocking on my window. I was so scared, so I had to like pull up my window, you know. So these are the things that they may joke about, but just prove them wrong and show them that no, women can do it and they can do it better than you.
Well, not all jokes, you know. Me and my friends were discussing. Like, we saw something in Facebook. एउटा कुनै नेपाली इभेन्टमा एकदमै खतरा कलाकारहरू हाम्रो नेपाली कला क्षेत्रको चाहिँ एकदम राम्रो चाहिँ हास्य व्यङ्ग्य कलाकारहरू बस्नु भएको थियो र एउटा जोक भन्छु भन्नुभयो अनि त्यो फेसबुकमा आथ्यो र उहाँहरूले चाहिँ तिम्रो जिउ छाटिएको के भनेर पुरै चाहिँ वुमनको बडीलाई लिएर they were like so describing it, and everybody was clapping and laughing. Me and my friend find it so disgusting and difficult to सुन्नलाई पनि यस्तो गाह्रो भयो कि अब यो कसरी स्टप गर्ने. It's so difficult. जोक्स मात्र होइन, साहित्यमा पनि चाहिँ महिलाको जिउ के छ. सो सोसाइटीमा चाहिँ अब सधैँ गएर कन्फ्रन्टेसन गर्न पनि अघि आस्थाले भने जस्तो इट्स एक्जस्टिङ. यु क्यान्ट. अब यो कस्तो सेटिङमा छ गएर त्यहाँ बोलिहाल्न पनि यु बी, आई मीन, यु डोन्ट वान्ट टु बी अराउट एभ्री टाइम एन्ड देन यु डोन्ट वान्ट टु बी जहाँ पनि आएर चाहिँ यस्तो गर्छ भने जस्तो मेसेज पनि दिन मन लाग्दैन. तर त्यो सुनेर बस्न पनि इट्स सो डिफिकल्ट. सो व्हाट आई डु इज लाइक म चाहिँ जुरुको उठेर हिँडिदिन्छु जहाँ बोल्न सक्ने सिचुएसन छैन, बिकज आई क्यान्ट रियली टलरेट इट, यु नो. सो इट्स, आई डोन्ट नो कति टाइम लाग्छ यो चेन्ज हुनलाई, बट पिपल ह्याभ टु बी थटफुल जस्तो लाग्छ whenever we start making jokes or writing anything. I mean, we have to be thoughtful about यसको इम्प्याक्ट के पर्छ सोसाइटीमा भनेर चाहिँ त्यो चाहिँ आफ्नै मेन्टालिटी लेख्नेले पनि समाजको अरू व्यक्तिहरूले पनि सोच्नुपर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ. जस्तै त्यो कन्टेम्प्लेट नै गर्न सक्नु हुँदैन, it will be difficult for them to bring a change. But for us, at least if we can speak, sunnu bhayena, we have to move out from there, you know. So I think that's what I do sometimes. So when it's so difficult, when first let them know that I don't welcome these kind of jokes and I don't want to hear it. It's so difficult to have that courage to say, no, I don't welcome it. At the end, it gives me a kind of, you know, satisfying and just sort of satisfaction. So that's what I prefer to do.
Sure. I grew up here, so of course I'm going to be very direct. I don't tolerate, but I'll literally call him out. I will say what needs to happen. I don't care if it's 20 people. Wrong is wrong. I mean, there's nothing you can, there's nothing. Yeah, there's a place where I need to step out, but at the same time, kati sunirane te, aimaiko esto, aimaiko usto, kati sunne. There's no need to sit there and hear it constantly. Yeah, we don't want to be a victim. I don't want other people to be victim. He might have a daughter, buari, didi boini, so wife, for God's sake, learn. So I have no problem. I don't tolerate. I don't have any problem because I am honest. Because I say things because it hurts us. That is what needs to be mindful. So we need to teach them by calling them out. This is this is wrong. I mean, I don't care if there's a dai, bai, you know, I will call them out. I have no problem telling them, hey, this is wrong. I don't feel comfortable. That hurts. You need to be mindful. It is okay for us to say that so that they get educated. Maybe they were not sure of how to express and they were taking advantage of it too. Either or, it goes both ways. So we need to stand up. That's all.
I would like to add one thing. I think like jokes, if the jokes are healthy, I welcome it and I enjoy like having fun around with my colleagues and friends. So if the jokes are like meaningful, healthy, I think jokes are good. But if the jokes are dirty, vulgar, then I have like one sentence: mind your own language and shut your mouth. That's how I deal with it.
I think just like one thing to add to like that I think is relevant is when making jokes about any sort of sensitive topic, I think it's really important to recognize who is the punchline of the joke. For example, I think humor is often based on shared experience. And so people will make jokes about gender, sex, sexuality, race, like sensitive subjects, but at the end of the day, it's a matter of recognize who are we laughing at and who are we laughing with. And I think that it's a lot more nuanced than a lot of people give it credit for, because that is the nature of what humor is. A lot of it is about shock and catching people off guards and saying things that you might not be able to say in an everyday setting. But I think the analysis that needs to take place is recognizing who are we laughing at and who are we laughing with. Are we making a person's race, gender, sexuality, are we making that the punchline? Or are we looking at our shared experiences as women, as people of color, and making a joke about the general stressors of life in that existence?
Yeah, I have some experiences to share here. It's so easy to describe a woman. If woman talks, you know, she is, you know, labeled as santabaji che. I mean, if you give a constructive criticism, it's labeled कि वो point खोजे छे, nooks खोजे छे. I mean, everything you do, it has its own kind of, you know, the gist is against you. So I think expectation from women is, I mean, joke is something, but there is like, you know, condescending manner when people talk to you, you know, it all comes in a way that you should be quiet. You should be a perfect girl. Say yes. And, you know, and don't raise questions because, you know, that is also a demerit of your habit, your nature. So as a, you know, I have, you know, I was born in India and grew up on Nepal's border, Jogbani. So it's not that I don't understand Nepali, I understand 100%, but, you know, with full conviction, I can tell you that people have tried to talk in Nepali so that she doesn't understand. So, I mean, all sorts of, you know, experience I have gained in last couple of years. And I must tell you that I'm so proud that women are speaking, my daughters are speaking, and they should speak. And when you find that it's going against you, just like me, I don't wait. I am very similar to Prabha. I say, keep your mouth shut, you know, let me finish what I was speaking. So I think that should be an attitude. And also I have a huge problem when women forward WhatsApp jokes. I mean, the way Sardarji jokes are very famous, that people make a mockery of, you know, turban, that Sikh jokes. Similarly, women forwarding women jokes. And I think, you know, is the lack of understanding that it basically makes your stance weaker than anyone else. So yeah, that's what I had to tell. But I'm enjoying everybody's story is so powerful.
So I think our time is up. I thought we will have some time to have an open discussion, but are we going till 10 or we are only till 9:30? I think we were till 9:30.
No,
right?
we were till 10, but 9.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I thought I already, okay. So now my questions are done. If you all want to add some questions, because I had a leadership question, but Prabha ma'am, Annapurna ma'am, and Avima ji, they already started with that one. So I didn't even have to ask question about leaders if you all, well, discussed that. So if you all have any question or from...
I have one question actually. Hey, Namrata, I have one question, and this goes to all of the panelists here. I mean, we talk about the leadership role, what uplifting we have done, but how do you encourage women to join the organization? So I'll tell you from my experience, because when Aprajita Jha called me, do you want to be advisor to ANTA? I had to think for a week to give her an answer. I guess I don't think I took that long, but is it not because people are, these ladies actually are encouraged, or do they get a name? Like for me, some of the names actually, they are so forward in what they do, but besides Annapurna Deo, actually I don't know the names. Aastha Singh is my neighbor actually, and she didn't tell you, but she is a black belt actually. She is a second degree black belt, and so I know her. But besides that, like Prabha B, I mean, a lot of these ladies, anybody, like I don't know, they were such a front runner. So are we lacking in giving them that they deserve, which might come to like younger generations joining this group, leading this group? I know fresh young kids, they can bring a lot more not more expertise, but you know, they have fresh blood, they can a lot more thinking, lot more ideas to go forward to. So what are we doing? Why are we lacking in getting these women in the organizations?
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Nadula, this is a great question. Guess what? I have 13 people lined up for internship, all girls.
Oh, more power to you.
I have lots of moms who comes and helps me out for ANS. Let me tell you that.
No, more power to you. I mean, that's good to know.
It is very important to handhold them, right? Because remember, we are always suppressed. You can't do that. You're not capable. You don't have time. You gotta cook. You gotta run errands. You gotta drop the kids. You gotta pick up the kids. When is your time? Who is asking you that, would you like to spare some time for enjoyment? She might have that hobby. There is a family who really wants to do it. She's so tight on her schedule. But guess what I told her? Let me know what you can do. Guess what? She makes a phone call to people to like the page. That's also a service. She might think it's a small service. It's a big service. Community service there is no measurement on a community service, right? So we have to encourage each other by giving first phase of work. Can you do this? All right, let's do this then. Can you make a phone call to 10 people? Let's do that. Give them the tools, walk them through it, and encourage them to be part of it. Because when we have a Heritage Festival, 99% is run by a woman. All right. Each organization has a leadership. Each organization have a subgroup. We tag together. I am not perfect. We're not perfect. We all are equal. We all can make a difference, right? So that's a concept I work with. So that's a concept I teach the kids with, because it is okay to fail. If you don't fail, you're not gonna learn. And if we don't learn, we're never gonna say we did it. So that's a concept we're gonna have to have in our mind. And plus, everybody takes time to come and join. So they have to be, there's called a comfort zone, and they like to see that comfort zone. A lot of us don't like to get out of the comfort zone to join. I noticed that. So I go talk to them. I encourage them. You can do so many things in so many ways. Blood drive. We need somebody to schedule a blood drive. That person doesn't need to be on site. That person can be on the phone. There is a job that can be done in different ways. So it is all about modeling how it works among ourselves and encouraging. But it's great questions. I got a lot of them. And if you go to American, our website,
I'm definitely gonna reach you.
metric is very, very clear. We have a lot of women who works with us.
I have also to say something, Namrata. Aastha, after me, you can say. I only had Annapurna Didi before me at at a position that I could look upon, and she was the founding member, and she was also head of the advisory committee, chair of the advisory committee in the committee where I used to be spokesperson. So, when my election came, when I had to contest, I called maybe 100 women that, I'm looking for women because I thought, women are so kind of, we are dedicated, committed people, gender wise. And I never received any positive response. They said, no, I don't have time. This takes too much time, this and that. I've heard this about, your organization, this and that. Sunaina agreed, and she was quite energetic. It was in my capacity that I had dynamic women from our community. And you can see Namrata, Mridula, Annapurna Didi, Ruby Dev is not here, Anju Yadav is not here. And so, I mean, we expanded. So I think after I'm done with my tenure and the next committee has to decide what to do, I would, if I could be a role model for Tarayan women from my experience, I could say that I would encourage them to come and try their hands at community services. And we have done it fabulously. Prabha, Avima, and rest of the other panelists, I can assure you that we have diligently worked on task, and we have achieved what has not been achieved so far. So, and, I'm proud of the team. So I think, people are shy and they don't know their own potential, how much they could do. So they have to understand what they could bring to the table. And I think, from next kind of, committee, I would like to see president, VP, treasurer, all those posts, filled with women. And yeah, I'm very proud of that fact.
Yeah, so what I was just going to add is kind of pulling from what both of you guys have said throughout. I think something that I did that I found to be really effective is through the nonprofit that we ran, our biggest program is a summer camp that we run for 2 weeks in the summer. And what we did with that program is that different experts in various parts of the IT field would come in and teach a lesson every single day. So we had a morning session, an afternoon session, and each of those were taught by an expert. And all of our experts that we had brought in to teach the young women in tech summer camp were also women with a diverse set of educational backgrounds and community backgrounds, and all very kind of coming from different places with different experiences and skill sets. And the purpose of that was basically to put our money where our mouth was and say, we're telling you that you can be successful in STEM fields and in IT fields. But what we're also going to do is we are going to show you that it is possible by putting people in front of you that look like you. And I think representation is so important in terms of encouraging young women to go after different goals, because at the end of the day, so much of it just stems from the belief that it's not possible and I'm not going to be the one that's going to change things. So when you put women in power in front of young women, it shows them, this is something that has been done before. It's something that can be done. You do have a team out there. You have a support system. You just have to pursue it. And I think that's the same for women in all male-dominated fields, as well as women in higher education. Like, I think women are told so much like, oh, if you do anything, you're going to have to be a trailblazer. You're going to have to make your own way. But realistically, we're at a point in time where we're very lucky to say that a lot of women have already done the hardest part for us and created those paths for us to take. Unfortunately, there's a lot of erasure when it comes to minorities in various different power positions, just because of the way that history is told. But realistically speaking, there are a lot of women in those positions, and we need to work to make them visible and make them as visible as possible to younger generations in order to promote the idea that you can just be a woman and also pursue these fields without having to be, you know, like the strongest, the bravest, the smartest, the biggest trailblazer. You don't have to be the world's greatest leader to be a woman and to be a leader.
I just wanted
Add
to
to
say
the point to
I'm so
her.
sorry.
The question that Mridula asked, you know, how do you get there? Like it took you 1 week time to think about, which is very normal. You have to think. But what I find is whatever passion you have, whatever position you take it, try to hop in on those passions to fulfill your passion, your happiness, to contribute to the organization. Other things I would like to say is like if you know or somebody has the skill or they don't, they have to kind of earn it, learn it, to empower, like delegate more leaders. So what happened, what you're doing, you don't have to do all yourself. If you delegate more leaders, ask them and give them a space, they will be happy to do it. Then your burden gets less. I was one time, I'll just tell you, I was president for 2 organizations. Already I was in one and then NWGN. So there was 1 year I was for both. And I didn't remember to get exhausted or tired because I had so many people ask for it. I will kind of ask them for leadership position or they do. So I really didn't like somebody or talking to them happy. And other thing like, you know, like the celebration we're doing today, like women's rights, human rights is a long time before that came from the UN because women has spoken. They wanted their right. And I just saw that is kind of fits with the point right now. Yesterday I had ordered Chinese food and you know cookie, fortune cookie. I read the fortune cookies of fortune words. It says human rights. What is human rights? And know them, demand them, and defend them. Which means when you are in the board, you know what is your right. You are in the board. You have right, equal right, right? Of course, person is the lead. You have to know. You have to demand. Sometimes you don't feel respected. Don't have to feel respected. Maybe they don't feel respected from you because you didn't say them namaste first or hi first. Why you expect them to tell you first? Just be equal and then defend. If you feel sometimes you are not respected enough or your rights are violated, speak about it. So be strong. So once you're strong, other will shut up. And then that encourage not only you, it encourages other people to come to the position. When I entered, somebody tell that you woman, you have to be gera chala. हाम्रो गेडाको छाला अनि मैले मेरो त झन् गेडा छाला पहिलादेखि हामी वुमेन भएर गेडा छाला हामी लिएर नै आएको कति सहनु पर्छ परिवार हैन I already have a गेडा छाला way and then after I became I know you really need a गेडा छाला so you need to be prepared with the गेडा छाला so that's given in our culture as a woman so we are brave in that. Thank you.
Just would like to add a couple of things. Prabha Didi ko barema पहिला थाहा पाउँदा I was so impressed with the way she was mentoring young kids and all. मैले 2014-15 बाट चाहिँ when I was saying अघि हाम्रो मृदुलाजीले भने जस्तो women are not visible, community organizations को PowerPoint presentations, कुनै issue को presentation we don't see women faces. So I keep on saying, oh, you need to bring women. And these men then asked me, okay, we will, but बोलायो कोही पनि आउँदैन last hour मा चाहिँ give up गर्छ भनेर भन्नुभयो. त्यसपछि NWGN को मेरो मेन्टरहरु डाक्टर विद्या रञ्जित रुक्मिनी कार्कीसँग एक दिन हामी यसरी डिस्कसन गर्दाखेरि कहाँ ल्याकिङ छ त भनेर डिस्कसन गरिरहँदाखेरि चाहिँ I think how एउटा चाहिँ we have to start mentoring young girls अथवा mentoring girls, women in our community so as to encourage them to come in the community organizations. So after I'm out, मेरो पछि को president हुन्छ त अथवा leadership role मा को आउन सक्छ त I have to start mentoring these young girls अथवा whoever are interested so that we can have them, you know. That's how I was mentored by two of the past presidents of NWGN, Dr. Vidya Ranjit and Rukmini Kar just came, saw me somewhere in Facebook, and then she just sent me a text, and then I was so happy. Oh, Raut Sanstha, I went there, and then she started saying, oh, you have to do this, you have to do this. She started assigning me responsibilities. Then she dragged me, literally she dragged me, and then started giving me responsibilities, and then I started enjoying and doing, and then slowly, vice president, you have to start working, you girls have to lead, and then that's how they pushed me, and then I'm like, president, they were like, now someone have to take role, you can do it, come. I was, no, I'm too young, I need to take some time, like Mridula ji said. I said, like, no, I'll be vice president, I'll work a couple of years. He's like, no, you have to take a lead. That's how they pushed you, त्यो चाहिँ हामी सबैले गर्न पर्यो, आफू पछि को आउँछ त हामीले बनाइराछौँ कि छैनौँ, त्यो हाम्रो पनि रेस्पोन्सिबिलिटी हो जस्तो लाग्छ. सो अहिले धेरै अर्गनाइजेसन्सहरुमा नेपालमा पनि मैले देख्छु यो मेन्टरशिपको इभेन्ट्सहरु चाहिँ गरिरहनु भएको छ र यङ मेन्टर्सहरु चाहिँ बनाइरहनु भएको छ. सो Aprajita Jha, Prabha B, it's our responsibility to the selects, and we have to really reflect and think if we're doing that or not. If not, then we really have to do it. So that's a part of our responsibility. Second, किन इभेन्टमा कसरी इन्करेज गर्ने त महिलालाई. सो रियल प्रब्लम के हो त भनेर हामी डिस्कस गर्दाखेरि मैले के देखेँ, रुक्मिनी दी, हामी डिस्कस गरिरहेको थियौँ. व्हाट आई थिंक इज धेरै अब यङ प्रोफेसनल महिलाहरू अब बच्चा हुन्छ, बच्चा भइसकेपछि अब हस्बेन्ड पनि इभेन्टमा जानुहुन्छ, हस्बेन्ड इभेन्टमा गएपछि दे आर लाइक, बच्चा हेरेर तिमी घरै बस्छ, एन्ड दे क्यान कम टु दिस इभेन्ट. अब अहिले त सिचुएसन चेन्ज छ, वी क्यान जोइन भर्चुअली. तर हामीले त्यतिखेर के भन्यौँ, इफ इट्स रियली बिकज बच्चा छ, एउटा रेस्पोन्सिबिलिटी छ, दे क्यान कम, देन स्टार्ट गिभिङ सम सोर्ट अफ child care thing when you organize the event. Have some room, have some 2 or 3 volunteers. Say, we'll take responsibility of your kids. You go and present. Encourage them to come to the event, So that's how you can have more women in the event, and then you can hear more different perspectives. So we really need to find out the root cause why women can't come. When I ask these professional women, position, धेरै politics हुन्छ. We don't want to get involved in politics because we don't have time. We have to do a lot of tons of, and no politics. If it's really work, I'm gonna come and work. But if it's really, I have to deal with a lot of politics, I'm not going to come. So, but we have to encourage these women, and I think we really need to discuss what are the real issues that are there, that are के कारण त छ होला, त्यही भएर महिलाहरू अगाडि आउनु हुँदैन, प्रेजेन्ट गर्नु हुँदैन. हाम्रो आफ्नो आत्मबल, मनोबल एउटा होला, त्यो हामीले चाहिँ अगाडि आएर बोल्ने. म पर्फेक्ट, अघि आस्थाले भने जस्तो, we don't have to be perfect, we can be not perfect and come and present and then learn from our mistake and do better next time. त्यो हामीले त्यो सिक्नु त पर्ला. But at the same time, why these women are not really coming, we really have to find root cause and then have to solve it and have more women and encourage women, like Mridula ji said, to be in our organizations and धेरै भन्दा धेरै फेसेस चाहिँ बाहिर ल्याउनु पर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ. And Prabha is doing a wonderful job, and I've learned it back in 2018. She's not just doing it recently. थुप्रै यो भइसक्यो दिदी गर्नु भएको. When I heard it, अमेरिकामा भएको नेपाली कम्युनिटी अर्गनाइजेसन, they're thinking this way. Thank you for doing that, Prabha Didi.
No, my pleasure. But I do want to add a few things. I know the time is running, and I know there's a lot to talk about it, but there's so little time. I know, Namrata, you're checking the clock and you're looking at me, and it's not fair. But I got to tell you this. Listen, I've been doing it for a long time. I was a child when I was in American Nepal Society. I was just 13 years old kid. Mr. Malakar, I have no idea what he thought of me, but I was doing dance coordination. So I started on a very, very young age doing a community service for our Nepalese community. So today I am running that organization, but here's a catch. Yes, you are right, Namrata. People always say we are politicians. We are not. We are social activists trying to fix the problem in our community. So we, as a woman, always push the other woman's button. How do you avoid the conflict? Ignore them. But some people don't like teaching woman to woman either, because then they think that we are threatened. We don't need to be threatened. It's quite all right. We move away. Fix that way. Right? You plant a seed. If somebody's going to be keeping a water, let it be. Let that person do it. At least someone is doing something for community. Take it positively. In ANS, what we did the best was to do internship. So we interview them. We wanted to find out what is their interest before they come and join. We want to make sure that they don't give up. Remember, हाम्रो बच्चाहरु आउँछ जान्छ, बस्दै बस्दैन भनेर भन्छ. तर I have not seen that. I have seen all the kids who comes in stays with us because they are eager to do more, because we give them a direction. So that's the difference, right? It's not all about talk. It's not about Zoom. It's about doing the job, because they all want to do it hands-on. They want to be the one they want to do it. So that's why we are lacking in our communities, that we go look for community service in other community, but we don't come to our own community. It's because we have no structures. And that's the problem we got. So we have to fix that problem to going forward. So it is a lot of work. We had to start from the ground zero to build. But here we are today is because we did that groundwork. So that way kids can come in, kids can do this. And just like I said, it takes a village to build anything and everything. So for this Heritage Festival is the biggest success, is because we put a lot of time. We go find a vendor for them to come and perform on a platform where they can feel like they are the star of the day, because our kid does not get that platform in community. It's not about that. It's about them presenting, feeling like, oh, I can do this. There's a lot of kids who are so stage frightened. There are so many kids who are special need. They need support. So this is how we have to work together. So being said, we need to work, all of us need to work as a unity and try to be positive. That's it. And Mirza, I would love to talk to you afterwards. And I would love to send some people towards you too.
If we got time, I would like to add one thing. One thing, can I?
Go ahead.
Okay. So what I find the different in USA than in Nepal, and this is my personal experience, like we still have problem while the women travel alone. They still have to face the safety issue, safety concern, the restroom facility. We don't have like proper restroom areas where they can, like men can go, like if they travel at nights or during the day, if they don't travel flying, if they travel by road or like with public transportation and all, they still face issues of like finding restroom, or they cannot have rest because it's the safety issue and all those. So this is still lack there. But when I came to USA, unfortunately I had to do a couple of more masters just to be in status. Avima Uprety might know in this immigration issue, the green card issue. So I had to do a couple of more masters just to be in status and get the CPT work authorization. And in that way, I had to travel, like I was working in Des Moines, and I travel every 2 weeks. Flying or like drove by continuously driving 4 hours, 8 hours. I used to drive at nights. I used to take rest at the rest area. I stop at the gas station, or I did not find any, I did not have hesitation or fear of my safety or finding restroom and all those. But back home, this is still the problem. I used to when I was flying, I did not have any fear or hesitation of traveling. But when I used to travel by bus, I always needed somebody to accompany me for my safety. So that kind of issue is still there. So I know the panelists are working towards the organization. I would like to request this needs to be brought up in the mass, and women's safety is needed. Like, men can go anywhere for the restroom. Why women, have this concern? So this should be improved and like taken care of, I think. And this thing has what this experience has taught me, never give up. It made me as a strong. I can travel all over the USA by myself without any hesitation, without any fear. these things, no matter what time it is, day and night. But it's back home in Nepal, I mean, women cannot do that independently. So that's, I find it very, like, this is the main problem, I think, is the big concern. Women cannot be independent, like traveling by herself. So that should be, I mean, improved. And this comes, I don't know what else to say.
Namrata,
I think
we have a couple of people participant. Since just few, I think it's a good idea to let them to speak whatever they like to share.
Renita Gargi, do you have any question? Do you want to ask that to panelists? And thank you so much, Renita, for joining in.
Hold on. I did enjoy. I heard everyone's the questions, and I'm sorry. I'm actually, this is Friday night for me, so I'm washing my hair.
That's okay. If you have any question you want to ask the panelists?
No, because I think you really, they addressed it very well. They kind of answered a lot. It was already, let me just say, you guys got it. The one that you have the right mentality, okay? You have to speak up. You definitely have to speak up. Here in America, it's different. It is different, but it makes it easier. So you actually can speak. You should feel confident to speak up. You should feel encouraged to speak up here, because the culture of our First Amendment, freedom of speech, and supposedly no oppression, we are encouraged to speak up and say something. So you have more support here in America if you actually stand up and do so, okay? And if you have any support systems at the organizations or the jobs that you work at, they have some group support, they have support for women, they have support for women of color, they have, you know, certain organizations do have support groups. If you have that, I recommend you join, you go, you find it, or find the community one, because it's good to have an organization of support that will back you up. But, you know, hey, who is that said in a meeting, you check them, great job. Because you have to let them know. If you don't check them up front, they will walk all over you. They will do it again. And it's a way to check them. You just check them in a professional way, but very direct, and let them know that you don't play. You know, I'm going to say it, you know, you have to be direct with them. We're talking to a man, talking to many men, or, you know, whatever. You have to be direct and let them know, I am a woman, that I'm not going to take that. Okay. And so you have to say that. Do not be scared. Be confident. Please be confident. It is, let your presence be known when you walk into that room. Demand the presence of the room. Let them know that you're there. Don't be a little frightened, you know, scared to speak because I just got in this position. Let them know that I can handle this. I can handle being here. I can handle being sitting right next to you. I can do the same thing. You have to have a confidence about yourself, because if you don't, they will see it. And things will come out. Things will be coming at you. You got to show that confidence and get you a support system. But I think it's a lot easier here to speak up, to stand up. Yep. And, you know, when I get a job, if I get a job, I've been working in my job for a long time. Namrata just joined us. And so I manage everything. But I let my PI know up front, this is what I won't do. This is what I won't take. Okay. And he said, that's fine. I respect that. I said, okay, then we won't have a problem. And so I very delightfully said that to him in a one-on-one meeting. And he said, you're fine, you're okay. He said, I respect that. Good, then we won't have a problem. And so I let people know anytime I'm dealing with people, hey, this is where I stand. And I usually don't have a problem when I come direct and upfront. But you gotta have enough courage, because I have mentored a lot of young girls of color, Indian, Asian, and you had mostly Asian, yeah, Asian and Indian, mostly, couple of white girls. But you have to, and I tell them, hey, you need to speak up. You're young, okay? You got, stop being passive. Don't be passive, because if you are passive, you send out that aura. It comes out and people know. And then someone assertive, it be known, and so that campus, be strong with your friends. Don't let them disrespect you. Never let somebody disrespect you or your culture. You check them right there. I don't care. No one will ever say a comment about my culture or my race in my presence, because my presence demands respect. And they're going to look at me and know I can't get away with saying that joke with Renita here. But there are people that they have joked with in their presence, and they were like little mice, not saying anything, too easy, and they were offended, and they can tell they're offended, but they didn't apologize, and they just feel that it's just, I guess, how it is, and they accept it. So you don't let people disrespect you. We are in a different time now. So don't let people disrespect you, especially if you're over here. I can't speak for other countries. I can say for America. Join a support group. Get you some other people that believe like you believe and stand up for it. Learn where you are at. Get to know people where you are at in that city or in that university or in that organization. Find other people and get to know them, and find other like-minded people. Everybody you eat lunch with, everyone you have a meeting with, everyone you talk to are not like-minded. Talk to them and find out who's your like-minded people, and get to know them and establish a rapport with them. That's all I wanted to say, because I think you guys has really said it all and said a lot.
Thank you, Renita. Thank you so much. Gargi?
I don't have any question, but I just wanted to say that I really feel honored to be part of this. And, it's so amazing to see what you're all doing outside and how you're inspiring and empowering other women. So, yeah, thank you for doing what you do. So, thanks.
Thank you. So, any closing remark from Aprajita ma'am? And then I'll have my closing remark.
Yes, thank you so much, Namrata, for hosting and anchoring it in the most meaningful way, impactful way, because the kind of questions you have brought to the table means so much for our community, especially women. And we have touched upon the reasons why women are not saying what they should supposed to be saying, and the reasons why a nonprofit like ANTA or any similar organization don't see women participation that much, and so on and so forth. The issues are endless with our gender. And I think, with this, I'm also immensely grateful to Prabha, who has been part of my journey. And as a women president of ANS, we often share our issues, and she has been there. I mean, not a single crisis of mine has gone, unnoticed by her. And she has given me good mentoring in the background. And I'm also very thankful to Annapurna Didi as a chair of the advisory committee to be always, there for assisting me with issues. And Medula also is an advisor who is always, very helpful, very, very forthcoming with her thoughts and ideas. And Avima, as we all have heard, with her background, how she came from Nepal and she has rose up to that level, is immensely a proud moment for us, women community. And Sneha and Sunaina, everyone, those who have spoken so far, and Aastha, she has left. So
she has an internet connection in her dorm. So she just texted me that she might not be able to join in.
So, you know, at that tender age, she has so much of, you know, she has in-depth knowledge about the issues which, you know, people either learn through text or through experiences. Seems like she has known both ways, text growing up in America and, you know, understanding the strength within her, you know, existence in America. So I'm immensely happy and content with the quality, Namrata, you have delivered, and that's why I say women are needed, and in ANTA too. And yeah, thank you so much for all your time. And yeah, Namrata, over to you. And Hiraji, our unsung hero. So when I say unsung hero, this gentleman has hid his face behind the logo. So you have an amazing face, Dheeraji. You could show that to our community. You know, we love to see you. And yeah, over to you, Namrata. Thank you so much to all the participants, those who are watching us on Facebook and different medias. You know, we are there to answer to our gender-specific questions. We have amazing panelists here. They can be reached later too with questions. And Namrata, over to you. Thank you so much, Namrata. You have done a fabulous job.
Namrata, I think Sharmila was trying to say something.
Sharmila, sorry, you wanted to say something, please.
Yes.
Please.
Hello, namaste. म चाहिँ नेपालीमै प्रिफर गर्छु है बोल्नलाई। सबैजनालाई नमस्ते। मेरो चाहिँ यो पहिलो अनुभव हो हजुरहरुसितको। एकदमै खुसी लागेको छ कि म यस्तो कार्यक्रममा सहभागी हुन पाएँ। शर्मिला महतो, म चाहिँ नेपालमा एज अ वुमेन एसिस्टेन्ट अफ वुमेन डेभलपमेन्ट सुपरभाइजरको रूपमा 2-2.5 वर्ष जस्तो महिला तथा बालबालिका कार्यालय सिरामा काम गरेको थिएँ। अनि त्यसमा चाहिँ म जेन्डर भायोलेन्स फोकल पर्सन भएर चाहिँ काम गरेको र त्यहाँ मैले महिलाहरूको स्थिति देख्दा जुन हाम्रो कम्युनिटीको मलाई साह्रै दुःख लाग्यो। अनि त्यसले गर्दाखेरि मलाई झन् प्रेरित गर्यो कि म एज अ वुमेन र हाम्रो कम्युनिटीलाई कसरी अगाडि ल्याउने। त्यहाँ भएका हामी त छोरीलाई शिक्षा दिन्छौँ, तर मलाई लाग्दैन कि हामीलाई के चाहिएको छ त्यो चाहिँ गर्न सकेको हुन्छौँ। हाम्रो कम्युनिटीमा त्यो अझै पनि एकदमै छ। त्यसको लागि हामी आफै अगाडि आउनुपर्छ। अनि मलाई चाहिँ एउटा क्वेशन छ उहाँ अभिमा, जस्तो कि मैले नेपालमा डेली रेप केसेसहरू अनि आमालाई वृद्ध आमालाई अब घरबाट हेला गरेको केसेसहरू रेकर्ड गर्थे। अनि हामीले काउन्सिलिङहरू गर्थ्यौँ, विभिन्न निकायहरूसँग कोअपरेसन गरेर उहाँहरूलाई न्याय दिलाउनको लागि काम गर्थ्यौँ हैन। त्यस्तै यहाँ चाहिँ महिला केसेसहरू नेपालीको जेन्डर भायोलेन्स बेस केसहरू कतिको आउँछ कि आउँदैन? हजुरलाई त्यस्तो केही आइडिया छ भने म चाहिँ जान्न चाहन्छु।
धन्यवाद शर्मिलाजी, तपाईले नेपालमा गर्नुभएको काम सराहनीय छ। तपाईले राख्नुभयो आफ्नो कुरा सुनेर एकदमै खुसी लाग्यो। मैले अघि पनि भनेको थिएँ अमेरिकामा पनि ठ्याक्कै म पर्सेन्टेजमा अहिले प्रेजेन्ट गर्न नसकौँला, तर हाम्रो कम्युनिटीमा घरेलु हिंसा डोमेस्टिक भायोलेन्सको घटनाहरू उल्लेख्य मात्रामा छ। त्यस्तै पछिल्लो समय हाम्रो कम्युनिटीमा बच्चाहरूलाई मोलेस्टेसन गर्ने त्यो घटनाहरू पनि बढ्दै आइरहेको छ। घरेलु हिंसा हाम्रो कम्युनिटीमा पेन्डेमिकको बेलामा पनि उल्लेख्य मात्रामा बढ्यो र थुप्रै घरेलु हिंसाको क्षेत्रमा नन प्रफिटहरूमा सेल्टर होम्समा काम गर्ने नेपालीहरू पनि हुनुहुन्छ र उहाँहरूसँग पनि कुराकानी गर्दाखेरि कति महिलाहरू उहाँहरूको अप्रोचबाट पनि रेस्क्यु भइरहेको सुन्नमा आउँछौँ। पढे लेखेको महिला पनि घरेलु हिंसाको चाहिँ सर्भाइभर हुनु भएको छ। पल्ल चाहिँ इमिग्रेन्ट भएर आउनु भएको जो कागज पत्र विहीन हुनुहुन्छ र कागज भएको श्रीमानसँग आबद्ध हुनुहुन्छ, उहाँ पनि घरेलु हिंसाको चाहिँ पीडित भइरहनु भएको चाहिँ इन्सिडेन्टहरू सुन्छौँ। महिला मात्रै होइन, केही मात्रामा पुरुषहरू पनि घरेलु हिंसाको पीडित नभएको छ होइन, उहाँहरू पनि पीडित भएको हामीले घटनाहरू सुनेको र म आफै कानुनी क्षेत्रमा काम गर्ने भएर यस्तो खालको पीडित पुरुष नेपाली पीडितहरूलाई पनि घरेलु हिंसा पीडित भइसकेपछि एउटा खालको रिलिफ छ, कागज पत्र पाउने, त्यसमा सहयोग पुर्याएको मैले पनि छु। त्यसैले घटना कम छैन, उत्तिकै छ। कतिजनाले रेस्क्यु सिक गर्नुहुन्छ, हेल्प पाउनुहुन्छ, कतिजना बोल्न नसकेर दबिएरै चाहिँ पीडामै बसिरहनु भएको पनि इन्सिडेन्टहरू छ, उल्लेख्य मात्रामा छ। दुःखका साथ भन्नुपर्छ। त्यही भएर हामी सबैले बोल्नुपर्छ यस बारेमा भन्छु मैले। हामीले डोमेस्टिक भाइलेन्स मेरो घरमा छैन, मैले थाहा पाउनु पर्दैन भन्नुभन्दा पनि इनकेस कोही भिक्टिम भइहाल्यो भने उसलाई कसरी रेस्क्यु गर्ने भन्ने कुराहरू चाहिँ हामीले सिक्नुपर्छ। जज गर्ने बानी हामीले छोड्नुपर्छ भन्छौँ होइन। मैले अलिकति एड गर्न चाहेँ बोल्दाखेरि, कम्युनिटी अर्गनाइजेसन्सहरूमा हामी कहाँ पनि थुप्रै घरेलु हिंसाको घटनाहरू आउँदाखेरि हामी आफैसँग रिसोर्सेस छैन, तर जोसँग रिसोर्सेस छ उसलाई चाहिँ हामी कनेक्ट गराउने, हाम्रो कम्युनिटीमा भएको डोमेस्टिक भाइलेन्सको क्षेत्रमा काम गर्ने थुप्रै चाहिँ नेपाली अरुणा श्रेष्ठ भन्ने हुनुहुन्छ, जोर्जियामा अरू दिदी उहाँहरू हामी चाहिँ कोसिस गर्छौँ र मलाई लाग्छ सबै कम्युनिटी अर्गनाइजेसन्सले पनि त्यो गर्न चाहिँ आवश्यक छ जस्तो लाग्छ। त्यो चाहिँ तपाईँको एन्सर छोटोमा दिनु पर्दाखेरि मैले दिन सकिनँ, तर स्थिति चाहिँ उत्तिकै दुःखपूर्ण स्थिति छ। अझ स्टुडेन्टहरू तपाईँको नट ओन्ली चाहिँ हामी चाहिँ यो बिहा गरेर आउनु भएको इमिग्रेन्ट कम्युनिटी मात्र होइन, स्टुडेन्टहरू जो F2मा डिपेन्डेन्ट भएर आउनुहुन्छ, यति दुःखको स्थिति छ। कस्तो छ, कहिलेकाहीँ चाहिँ उहाँलाई झुक्क्याएर चाहिँ नेपाल पुर्याइदिने, अनि पासपोर्ट बोकेर अमेरिका आउने, श्रीमती नेपालमै नौसँग पासपोर्ट छ, न ट्राभल गर्न पायो, अनि 6 महिनापछि डिभोर्स पेपर पठाइदिने नेपालमा। हो त्यस्तो खालको भाइलेन्सहरू, थुनेर राखिदिने, चाहिँ एड्रेस नदिने, थुनेर वर्षौँ चाहिँ महिनौँ चाहिँ कोठामा राखिदिने, चाहिँ श्रीमतीलाई चाहिँ रक्सी खाएर चाहिँ पिच्ने, त्यो एउटा त्यस्तो खालको अनेक छ। जाँड खाएर पिट्ने, भोलिपल्ट सरी भन्ने, अनि श्रीमतीहरू इमोसनली सरी र गिफ्ट पाएपछि भुलिनुहुन्छ, श्रीमान हो माफ गरिदिउँ, 10 वर्षसम्म त्यो स्टोरी चल्छ, त्यसपछि निस्केर हिँड्नुहुन्छ। त्यस्तो खालको स्टोरिजहरू पनि छ। त्यसैले सब्सटेन्स अब्युज, घरेलु हिंसाको चाहिँ जस्टिफिकेसन होइन, त्यस्तो भइरहेको छ, केही गलत भएको छ भने त्यसलाई चाहिँ हेल्प सिक गर्न हामी कहाँ आउँदा मैले भोलि अर्को मान्छेसँग बसेर टिटक गर्ने होइन, हामीले पनि गोपनीयता मेन्टेन गर्न सिक्नुपर्छ। त्यसपछि बल्ल कम्युनिटीमा तपाईँ हामीमा ट्रस्ट भएर तपाईँ हाम्रो साथीले हामीलाई सेयर गर्नुहुन्छ, त्यो बानी पनि हामीले विकास गर्नुपर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ, यसलाई चाहिँ न्यूनीकरण गर्नको लागि र सहयोग गर्नको लागि। थ्याङ्क यू।
म 15 सेकेन्ड लिन्छु मात्रै है। मलाई धेरै खुसी लागेको छ अहिले यो प्रोग्राममा। एन्टामा एउटा फिमेल लिडरसिप छ। अहिले NWGN-मा प्रेजेन्ट प्रेसिडेन्ट क्यारिङ अन गरिरहेको छ NWGN-लाई। आइ एम भेरी ह्याप्पी टु सी हर। एन्ड NS धेरै पुरानो अर्गनाइजेसनको प्रेसिडेन्ट प्रभाजी हुनुहुन्छ, एन्ड अल अदर वुमेन लिडर्स। It's very good to see together and speak together in one voice, and I'm sure we'll all rise together and more women will come in leadership. Thank you.
Quick question for Sarmila Kulage, and then I'll get Sarmila. I'm not sure whether you live around Fairfax County. म चाहिँ यहाँ Fairfax County मा छु। यस्तो घटनाहरू जस्तो अभिमाले भनेको घटनाहरू, जुभेनाइल देखि डिप्रेसन देखि रेप केस देखि डोमेस्टिक भाइलेन्स देखि यो जति पनि तपाईले काम गरिरहनु भएको छ त्यो कामको केसेसहरू धेरै बढिरहेछ अहिले। You are absolutely right, Avima, because हाम्रोमा 800 नम्बर छ के 703 नम्बर छ, मान्छेले कल गर्छन् के, तर उहाँहरूलाई कति पनि थाहा पनि छैन कि 911 कल गर्नु पर्छ भन्ने पनि थाहा छैन के। So that's also big lesson to teach. त्यो पनि एउटा एकदम इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ, किनभने उहाँहरू डराउनु हुन्छ के जे कुरामा पनि। सो कम्फर्ट जोन छैन उहाँहरूसित। भनेको मतलब इफ आई टक टु यु, तपाईसँग के कुरा गर्यो भने तपाईले सबैतिर कन्फिडेन्शियल चाहिँ नभएको खण्डले उनीहरू झन् डराइरहेका छन्। अभिमा got it all on right there. So thank you. So यदि चाहिएको केही फेयरफ्याक्समा छ भने कन्ट्याक्ट गर्नुस् है भनेर भन्नलाई मैले बोलेको।
थ्याङ्क यू हजुरहरु दुवैजनालाई। म हजुरहरुलाई कन्ट्याक्ट गर्नेछु। आजको लागि पनि अपराजिता म्याडमलाई धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद। मैले हिजो राति नै उहाँलाई टेक्स्ट गरेको थिएँ, फेसबुकमा हेरेँ कि यो इभेन्ट भइरहेछ, अनि मैले उहाँलाई व्हाट्सएपमा टेक्स्ट गरेँ, अनि उहाँले मलाई लिङ्क पठाउनु भयो। धेरै धेरै आभारी छु त्यसको लागि म म्याडम प्रति। र एकदम खुसी लागेको छ यस्तो इभेन्टहरू गरिराख्नु भएको छ एन्टाले र अरू अर्गनाइजेसनहरू पनि हुनुहुन्छ। मलाई चाहिँ ANS र NWGN को पनि इमेल अरू केही वेबसाइट पेजहरू त्यहाँ च्याटमा यसो।
Thank you, Avima Ji and Prabha ma'am, for all that answers. It's really helpful. Okay, so anything else to add on, or should I start on my closing remarks? No? Okay. So first of all, like, धेरै thank you. It's the hectic schedule, but you all took out some time to speak over here. So words will be short if I start to say how much I appreciate you all putting it down your thoughts. And I want to close with one statement. I do get that when we are doing this kind of event, I do get questions from some of my friends like, women have come far along. Why do we need to have Women's Day? We celebrate women every day. But some of the topic that we just discussed, domestic violence, some of them don't even know how to call 911. So as long as they continue, we need to have events like this. And I come from the science background, and you might have heard of Dr. Emmanuel Charpentier and Dr. Jennifer Doudna. So they invented CRISPR. They are Nobel laureate. And when they are introduced as female scientists. It doesn't happen for male scientists. It only happened as scientists. So till we change that mindset, this kind of discussion needs to be open. So with all that, thank you all. Thank you all for joining over here. Also, all the Facebook ma live sabai धेरै धन्यवाद. And thank you and happy International Women's Day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Have a good night.
Thank you.